Welcome. My name's Ian Cuneo from Ray White Real Estate. Today we've got a series of industry experts to put together some videos to assist you as a purchaser or a seller to understand the real estate jigsaw puzzle. Come with me, let's go and get some great ideas. Welcome. We're here today with Paul Seaman and Hayden Taylor from Converancing Connections. Paul, thank you very much for taking your time out of your busy schedule to share a few insights into the legal works of the real estate industry.
Pleasure, Ian. Thanks for having me.
Paul, could you just tell us a little bit about the history of Converancing Connections and also your own personal legal history?
Converancing Connection has been now established 13 years in Brisbane. It's a dedicated conveyancing resource for the legal industry and the real estate industry.
Recently, my wife and I were involved in the sale of her mother's home in New South Wales. We experienced the difference between a solicitor and a conveyancer. For the viewers, could you share a bit of an insight as to what is the difference between a solicitor and a conveyancer?
In some states of Australia, there are conveyancing companies as well as law firms doing property transfers. In Queensland, that's not the case. Conveyancing companies need to have licensed solicitors working in them. A lot depends on the degree of supervision, but in South Australia, for example, it's also added to a law firm. Perth, there's independent conveyancing companies. Sydney, there's a mixture, but there is a separate recognised qualification of a conveyancer in New South Wales. So many people do prefer that they select a company that, whilst has a conveyancing system and a conveyancing department, but the people working there are closely supervised by licensed solicitors.
When a person's purchasing or selling a property, what insights could you give them as tips in the legal process of real estate?
Ian, that's a very good question. It applies to buyers and sellers. Buyers and sellers need to respect the fact that they've entered into a contract and the obligations in that contract must be fulfilled. They need to understand that they attend to their items on a timely basis, notifications for their finance, notifications for their inquiries on billing and pest. They must make themselves available. And a lot of people don't understand that 1 or 2 days extension maybe will fix a lot of legal problems and save a lot of money for them. So I do think they need to understand, they need to be reasonable in their dealings with people. And they must participate in the process. Don't think that they can simply sign a contract and leave everybody else to do all the jobs for them. They need to communicate and be available.
We deal with many interstate investors as a purchaser and also interstate owners as a seller. What advice could you provide the viewers with respect to being an interstate person?
Once again, each state has got their own licensing requirements. It may well be that an interstate solicitor has got a Queensland practitioner on staff and they can handle the property inquiry. They can handle the property conveyance and attend to all the Queensland steps that need to be attended to. More often than not though, what they will do is refer that to a Queensland practitioner, as we would do if we have a client buying in New South Wales, we would refer them to a New South Wales law firm. So it's important that people may start with their own solicitor in Sydney or Melbourne, and that's good if they've got a relationship with that law firm, but they will very quickly find it's referred on to an agent in Brisbane or elsewhere where they're buying for the processes to be attended to.
Paul, it's a competitive world in business these days. Could you just outline for the viewers what is the difference, in your opinion, of Conveyancing Connections?
Well, Ian, we'd like to think that we give better service. Of course, with any business, your business is only as good as your people. At Conveyancing Connection, we go out of our way to ensure that we have excellent staff, good training programs, well supervised, and make sure everyone's a happy family. Without the staff, it can't be done. And that's the main ingredient of most businesses. People get frustrated with call centres. We try and answer the phone. It's not difficult, but that's our processes at our office, ably assisted by a dedicated team of staff.
Paul, really appreciate your time you've taken out of your busy schedule today. I'm sure the viewers got some wonderful ideas from you. Thank you. Have a great day. We're here this morning with Hayden Taylor from Converancing Connection. Hayden will actually take us through the mechanical process of administering a contract of sale. Hayden, thanks for spending time with us this morning. Hayden, could you just step us through the back engine room of the real estate process once a purchaser or a seller has signed a contract of sale?
Sure, so once that contract comes in, Ian, we go through a data entry process and a quality control process. And what that provides us is giving that contract certainty. We then follow up with the conditions of the contract, which is usually within the 14-day period of the contract, which will then give us an insight as to what the buyer's intentions are and also the seller's intentions as well. The buyers obviously have an obligation with their finance and building and pest to be completed, and then from there, once the contract is unconditional, we then move forward by doing the appropriate searches that the buyer requires and as per the property, of which we will then go ahead and book settlement with their financier, ensuring that their financier is in a position to complete, and then we will then proceed to settlement.
Hayden, what sort of advice or issues actually arise during the contract of sale process?
At all times, parties to the transaction need to be available. If they leave the country, then a power of attorney is advisable. Because of that, it then gives all parties some form of certainty within the contract itself. Parties not taking those options can cause potential risks and penalties for each individual.
Settlement day is an interesting one. It's almost mysterious. We as the general public don't really know what actually happens. Could you just step us through settlement day process?
Sure. On settlement day, we will liaise with the bank or the buyer's solicitor. We will provide the other party with instructions as to check directions that may be required by the other parties. We will then attend settlement on behalf of the client, and once that has been effected, we will then call the client and let them know that it has settled, of which the contract has then been completed.
Often a person's sold their home and they're wanting to purchase another property, and it's called simultaneous settlement. Could you step us through the mechanics of how they move money from their home to another home and effect a settlement on the same day?
How that works, Ian, is the other parties for the property that the seller is buying, they will provide us with instructions as to how those funds are to be dispersed. We will then obtain checks from the buyer's solicitor at settlement, of which we will then forward on to the simultaneous settlement, which could be at the same time or later that afternoon. Then any surplus monies that are left over for the seller will be banked into the client's respective account.
Hayden, thank you very, very much for taking your time out of your busy schedule. I'm sure the viewers gained some insights into the internal mechanics of the conveyancing process. Have a great day. Thank you.